Oh, it's Michael? Okay. Let me make sure.
You want me to go back there and read the whole thing?
Yeah, you can read well, we're gonna read it in class, but hey guys, how's it going? Papa and me are here. And we're gonna be doing beginning a class on the afterlife. And a couple weeks ago, what was that? Like about 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, we did a class. It's letting you know that I'm on all the YouTube channels. We did a class on the Book of Enoch. And in the Book of Enoch, without even realizing it until the guides came in and kind of channeled today to me, is that we kind of mapped out the like lower heavenly realms, meaning I'm going to spell Hell. The kids aren't here. I'm like Hell. So we mapped out those lower realms, and they happen to be here on earth when in anger, fear, depression, all that stuff. So Enoch told his account of meeting God, right? And so my dad read the whole Book of Enoch.
This is the mysteries of earth. The first part of the book is on Enoch, but this is mostly Osiris.
Oh, this is Osiris. Okay, so this part that
Michael jumps in. I mean, it isn't just Osiris. Michael's in there as well.
And Michael supposedly created Adam, and then Michael fell for his creation and fell into Adam, and that was basically he created Eve out of his rib, and that's where the spleen is, and that's where creation is, and they fell into the solar plexus basically of God. I think that's what it was about. I mapped out the whole thing when my dad was reading the Book of Enoch, because it was like, wow, I was drawing like a person, and I was like, wow, Michael fell into his creation, like from like his crown down into like his heart, and then down to his spleen, and it kind of mapped out like a lot of illnesses and stuff like that. Me as a healer, I'm always looking for like a way to heal people from things. And when my dad reads this stuff, it's like this metaphysical map of like our body. But more importantly, there's so many people that know people who have passed lately. Like, I mean, I only know one person. Monica just passed last week.
Monica passed.
Yeah. That's Drew's sister-in-law. And then my aunt, I believe she passed away. Well, she was having issues, but I think a lot of it had to do with, emotional stuff, worry. It was some dementia and stuff. But I also believe that the laws of COVID are probably what caused her to go very early, because she knew that she couldn't see her family if she was in the hospital. They wouldn't let her family in to see her because of all the rules for COVID. So I think it went the other way with her. The rules is what made her decide to leave early. But so regardless of whose fault it was or what it was, I believe everything happens for a reason, but we all know someone who's passed, and I think it'd be cool to learn about where they're going to, where they're going, because it's great to know, okay, great, we're in these hellish realms if we're angry and fearful and this and that here, and how we can kind of heal that. But like, if we don't heal it, and if our soul decides it's ready to go, it's ready to go, and we're going to go. And I think that knowing where the soul goes is kind of cool, because I mean, we've lost a brother, Jeff's brother, a few years ago, and I was like psychotic about knowing where he went. I was like, where'd he go? I'm a medium, and I couldn't figure out where he went, and I'm still not totally clear on that. So we're going to do that class, I think, a little bit tomorrow. We're going to do a little bit tomorrow, and then probably either Saturday or Sunday. We're going to do it. So it'll be like a series of 3. My dad will read from our book. He was just reading one of the areas that was about, what was it called? Looking through the looking glass.
Yeah, through the looking glass.
In fact, he can start to read it right now. And just so you guys know, the only place I can see the comments is actually on, oh wait, shoot, you know what? I don't even know that I can see comments on this. Let's see, here's the chat. Oh, enable chat. Okay, it's on Vimeo. So if you're over on Facebook saying hi and stuff like that, we're not responding back. It's because we're not on Facebook, we're on Vimeo, and it's streaming through all the Facebook pages. And then I posted on Patreon. Oops.
Yeah, there's one part of this that you have questions, so you won't.
Yeah. So if you guys want to get tickets to today, you just go over to Intuition or discoverintuition.com, click buy tickets for a class, and then go to it'll take you over to Ticket Tailor, and then you can just buy a ticket for Thursday's replay, is what it's called. That's the link that we're going to be on. Post this link real quick so Patreons can see us. My phone keeps ringing. I bet you it's for Shay. Wondering what's going on. I've already heard the very beginning of that, so let me just post this as a live stream. Okay. So my dad's going to read from our book called, what's it called again? Mysteries of Earth. And We haven't, what's it called? We haven't published it yet. We're waiting for more of like a traditional type publishing. It's through Bill's company, but it's still taking a lot longer than we, if we just did it ourselves. So it should be coming out probably, didn't he say 4 months? And that was 2 months ago.
It's done.
Yeah, I mean, we have the what's it called? The PDF I could probably post, but I don't want to promise anything just yet. Publish now, publish now. Okay. Just gonna write Afterlife preview. Come to class at 1. So it's at 1 p.m. today is when it officially starts, but we'll do this reading for right now. God, as soon as we get near each other, the computers start going nuts because all the guides come in and all the frequencies start messing with it. There we go. Oh, it worked. I'm amazed. All right, so here's my dad, Joe Morris, in case you guys don't know, but everybody knows Papa. And I'm hoping that the microphone works. That's loud. Why am I not hearing? So quiet. Oh, there we go. Okay, good, it works. Thank God. Today's a good day. Microphone works, the camera works, and we're ready to go. So there's Pucci starring in the background. And he's here. He's surrounded by dolls, so he knows that. I woke up last night after doing healings on everybody next to this doll, and it was really creepy because I swear it opened its eyes. That's creepy looking. Anyways, okay, he's gonna read from our book, Mysteries of the Universe. I'm gonna run up and get my phone because it keeps ringing, and then we will channel. I'll be back down in like a minute or so. Higher. Oops, see, I was the one that probably destroyed the screen with my thumb.
By grabbing it with your thumb.
Yep, exactly. There's you.
So I got big thumbprints. I got a big thumbprint down here, a big thumbprint up here.
Okay, I'll be right back. I listened to the beginning of that part, and then when we start the class at 1, which is in 45 minutes, we can do the DNA tree thing.
Yeah, I'll try to find that.
Yeah.
This one right now is the whole Santa Claus thing.
Okay, cool. I've been obsessing about it all morning, so it's perfect.
Are you going to come back down?
Yeah, I'm just grabbing my phone because I keep hearing great
Okay. All right. This is from the chapter Through the Looking Glass. And my commentary is, yes, we're jumping around a bit, but let's skip back to the basis of creation and communication. We discussed the trumpet and the seeds. And that's something we'll be discussing later today. The trumpet and the seeds that travel through them as metaphors, examples for consciousness through strands of DNA tubes. So, excuse me, we'll get into that a little bit later. They go a little further to explain that radio station inside Marisa that allows her to communicate with them. They explain that whoever's communicating with Marisa is beaming through a particular channel, like through a microphone, a telescope, or a microscope. And even if they speak in whatever language it is that they have up there, it comes through in English. Here's what Marisa channeled with Michael, and here's Marisa. Marisa says, it looks like the inner dimensions, like a telescope or microscope. They're on a ship with a hole. I keep seeing an eye looking through it. And that is their consciousness coming through their eye, and it's coming down into me, down into creation. Here's Michael. Michael, you don't have the consciousness in your physical body. You have it in your soul body. Your soul body has everything in it because you are your soul. Because most people are their souls now. Their physical bodies are now just representations of their entire soul. This is why some people are getting sick. People are getting ill because their soul has left the building. And just as a little preface here, this was
like 6 months before. No,
it was recorded last year. It was before COVID came.
Yeah.
You learned us so many times about COVID. But we finished this. I finished the book during the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my final copy on this was in May.
Mm-hmm.
Was when I completed it.
But I channeled that
But this was all channeled back in 2019.
Yeah, we were at the office.
2018 and 2019, I think.
Crazy.
Okay, this is why some people are getting sick. People are getting ill because their soul has left the building. The key to this book is really in having to do with calling their soul back to the telescope, to have their soul come back to witness their life again, because many have shoved their soul away. So if it's getting humans interested in ETs, then that's great. By having the exercise to call in your original self and look through this microscope or this telescope that will call their original soul back to them, for there are some human beings that are just lost. They're lost in the game. And we discuss the game all the time. This is like a video game that we're living in. And I've used this excuse or this example before. Think of the Holy Spirit as the designer of the video game. Writes it all down, describes the whole thing, describes what it's about, describes how the game is going to be played, the whole works. And then the Father comes in and builds the hardware, builds the computer that's going to house the video game. And then Christ is what breathes life into the game. Christ creates the software and then all the characters involved in the game. So it's pretty simple to think of it that way. Think of the Holy Spirit as the designer of the video game, our life. The Father as creating everything, the computer. And then Christ comes in with the software. It loads it into the computer and bingo, we have a functioning game.
Christ is totally
And that's what we're in. But many of us down here, as he says, we're lost. We're lost in this game. It's just like you envisioned. Michael goes on. It's just like you envisioned in the creation story where you saw a dejected Michael crying because he got lost in the movie, in the game. Now that's earlier in the book when Michael was describing how humans were created.
The angel that was crying.
Yeah, he was crying because he created the characters and decided to come down and live in the character and fell in love with the character. And then he fell. He fell. He came into Adam, but he fell. But his original self was still above, but his Christ self that was living in the human Adam fell. So we have a little bit in here about him when he was crying. Well, he was crying because he realized that he got lost in the game. And we're all lost in this game because none of us, all of us have amnesia. None of us remember setting this whole thing up before we came down and became Joe or Marissa or whoever you may be.
It says all of us are him and he is us.
So let me continue on. It says, it's just like you envisioned in the creation story where you saw a dejected Michael crying because he got lost in the movie. He got lost in the game. But if you go up one level, you see me, Michael, standing tall and proud, and that will be the real Michael. So if somebody is in despair, they are depressed, they're sad, they are not asking forgiveness. They're not asking to connect with the true I am, the true presence of God. And they're tuning in Michael. They're going to be getting the sobbing. And when they're tuning in Michael, they're going to be getting the sobbing version of Michael. So there are all these different layers of creation. So to simplify everything, we just want to say that the book can technically be about the rules to the human experiment or the rules to life. And we can talk about how. Yes, there are ETs, extraterrestrials, within the human experiment inside the game. But they are you. So the ETs are actually us.
That's what I want to ask the guys about. So what do they mean by we are ETs?
Well, let me finish just this little part. It says, and you send them down so that you will see them, the lower versions of you, so that you will ask questions. And then there is a book called The 5 Layers of Truth that Marisa will write in the future. And the 5th thing that we cover is the extraterrestrial life that we have within us.
Doesn't make any sense.
I know. Let me keep going. Let's see what he says.
Okay.
So Michael continues on. He says,
They just need to hear you.
I know they're going to get dizzy.
Oh, I should turn the camera off. But, oh, well, that's fine.
Yeah, that's all right.
Just close your eyes, guys.
Yeah, close your eyes.
I have to get ready for the 1 o'clock class. So you guys are kind of behind the scenes right now during our channeling session. And then we're going to go over and actually do this in our class at 1. So make sure you get tickets. It's only like 15 or 25 bucks or something. It's inexpensive. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good picture of the window.
Yeah, there we go. Is that us now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
Hopefully they can still hear. Oh, yeah, this is way better than the other one. Yeah.
Okay, Michael goes on. He says, so when people can begin to tune into those aspects of self, they can begin to tune into the antennas that they truly have inside of them that connect them with all the different aspects of themselves. Picture 12 spokes. We normally talk about a 12-story building. Picture 12 spokes, and they start to spin, and it goes straight up, and it goes whoosh, and all these things go out, and then they spin like one of those merry-go-round rides. And it's just a constant game of consciousness.
Wait, so the spokes are what? Picture 12 spokes, and then they spin and they go up.
Goes up like a merry-go-round. It's spinning and it's going up like a merry-go-round. Like one of those things. Remember those little guns that you shoot the little spinner and it spins, and it's got 12 spokes.
I think it's SeaWorld, the SeaWorld restaurant. It's like that thing. It's like spins, but a lot slower. Yeah, I know you're talking about the little thing that's shooting the air.
So it says, picture 12 spokes, and they start to spin. It goes straight up, and it goes whoosh, and all these things go out. Things being consciousness. They spin like one of those merry-go-round rides, and it's just a constant game of consciousness. But we want to narrow it down and say that if you can be your original self, if you can be your soul, it's not a game anymore. It's real, and it's real life. You have real fun, and you do real things, and you make money if you want, live life if you want, have that true love if you want, have that child if you want, do anything that you want. People think that it's bad to want. And with this, we go back to the Santa comment. People are judged all throughout the year so that they can get something. This part is Santa Claus and lowered vibrations. Michael continues. As they come into this world, yes, Santa's watching you. Were you a good boy or a bad boy? Were you a good girl or a bad girl? You'll get a toy if you're good. You'll get coal in your stocking if you don't. Think of the irony, or maybe not, of coal to diamonds. The compression and compaction, fake and truth will bring out the shiniest of them all. And that is the diamond. You are the diamond that is within. If you think of all the traditions of Christmas, they are incomplete. They are the antithesis to that which is creation. The world has thrown Jesus out of Christmas. Christmas has become a completely secular holiday now. People don't even think of Jesus at Christmas. They just think about presents and time off from school and time off from work, and that's it. It's no longer acceptable to speak about Jesus at Christmas because that's not politically correct. And that's where the world has gone. And that's where the world has gone. And we don't like the world going in that direction. However, we also don't like when human beings feel as if they must be or do a certain thing in order to get a certain thing. We want everyone to know that they can create anything that they would like, but not until they're 14 years of age.
Okay, so reread that again. That's the thing that I got interested with earlier, and that's where we started.
Okay, and that's
last sentence. They can create what they want until they're 14, or not until they're 14.
We want everyone to know that they can create anything that they would like, but not until they're 14. So there has to be a way to control ages 0 to 14, for in this time frame on Earth, they're just flesh. They are ruled by Raphael, and their emotions are ruled by Michael. Once they turn 14, they go to the true north-south pole, which would be Gabriel and Uriel. Now, those are the 4 watchers from the book of Enoch. We have 4 major angels or souls that are watching over us, and they are Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael. So Raphael looks like Michael, is in charge. Let's see, okay. They're ruled by Raphael, and the emotions are ruled by Michael up to the age of 14. Once they turn 14, they go to the true north-south pole, which would be Gabriel and Uriel. So under the age of 14, the earth is the highly effective tool to be used for children. They can ask that the earth be like a snow globe, like they are inside the earth. They can clean it and they can clear it because at that time they are the earth. They're like a plant that has grown from the earth. And until they are 14, until they fully begin to embody their God consciousness, that is when then you have creators. So we just wanted to share this because us four, this is the four angels. This is the what we are here to instill. We are the partisan thoughts. We are the partisans of the streams of consciousness that enter into the human beings at different ages. And then I go on to Neptune and mythology. So it'd be kind of neat if we did a counseling or a channeling session, and we asked in Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael.
Only Michael and Gabriel are here. Oh, the other ones are sitting there spinning. I see like Uriel and Raphael going like, so what are you in for? They're sitting over there on the curve. They're not allowed in here for some reason. And he's like, so what
But we're over 14.
Oh, wait. So which ones are so Michael and Gabriel, are they the ones for the under 14
No,
or over?
Michael and Raphael.
Or for under 14 or over?
14 and under is Michael and Raphael.
Oh, so Michael and Gabriel are in here.
Yeah.
Uriel and Raphael are stuck outside.
Okay, let me read this again. We want everyone to know that they can create anything that they would like, but not until they're 14. So there has to be a way to control ages 0 to 14.
And that's what Santa.
For in this time frame, yeah, it's Santa. For in this time frame on Earth, they are just flesh, and they are ruled by Raphael, and their emotions are ruled by Michael. But once they turn 14, they go to the true north-south pole, which would be Gabriel and Uriel. Mm-hmm. So under the age of 14, the earth is the highly effective tool to be used for children. They can ask that the earth be like a snow globe, like they are inside the earth. They can clean it and they can clear it because at that time, they are the earth. They're like a plant that has grown from the earth. And until they are 14, until they fully begin to embody their God consciousness, that is when then you have creators. So we just wanted to share this because us four, this is the four angels. This is what we're here to instill. We are the partisan thoughts. We are the partisans of the streams of consciousness that enter into the human beings at different ages. So I'm not sure why we jumped straight to Neptune and mythology.
I don't know, but we can fill in the blank there. I mean, we don't have to change the book at all, but what they're saying right now is the reason why I'm looking at I'm on the phone is I was looking up, they said to look up what hormone causes acne. I mean, God is our skin, they say, on this level, like our skin is God, basically, like on the level of God, our skin is God. Other beings don't have skin, so they can't live in this reality. They can't live on the earth. They get burned. So they say like clones wouldn't survive either because they don't have the God particle within them. But it says testosterone and estrogen go up at age 14. And that's what causes acne. There's an imbalance in the testosterone. And I find that interesting because testosterone builds the bones and the muscles. And when Madison was 3, she told me she got bones. Mommy, I got bones today. And I was like, huh? And so today I asked her if Buddy had bones, and she goes, of course. And she goes, well, he just got them. Like he just got them. So it's like we're like these sacks of goo that come down here like these God beings. And then at 3 years old, bone consciousness comes in. That's where a lot of people stay their entire lives, and that's where people get the arthritis, bone spurs, like feel like gout, things like that. But like the bone stuff, bad knees, bad back, all that. It means that your consciousness is stuck in your bones, and they're saying that's where we shove our soul into a cave, like the bones. We just go, soul, get in there. I don't want to hear it.
Hiding it from 0 to 14?
Hiding it from ourselves. No, hiding it from ourselves after 14 when it comes in. So you're saying age 3. So our soul is completely here. connected to God. It's like, it's not even here. It's projecting into here. Like, what soul wants to come and poop on itself, really? I mean, honestly. But yesterday I saw the picture of me and you when I was like 1, and I could see my energy just going up and down your spine, up and down your spine. It's like the kids come down here to heal us, even though they're so annoying and they cry and poop all over the place, and you have to feed them and all this stuff. And it's the hardest job, not the worst job, the hardest job in the world. You don't get rid of the baby. I mean, the babies must be doing something for us, because it's like that would drive anyone insane if you think about it. But the babies are actually healing parents, like going up and down their spine. I was seeing it. So I asked to see other kids and their parents, and I could just see them going up and down. But at 3, they become individualized away from the parents. And that's when they get their bones or their structure. Madison says, if we didn't have bones, we'd just fly around all over the place. It anchors us down. And so testosterone builds the bones and the muscles. And then at age 7 or 8 is when we fully tune into like our muscle, like the heart and the muscles in our body. And that's when those get developed. And that's the heart. And that's what, how you see demons and like big demons. Mm-hmm. And then blood, the blood in us would be Christ. And then the skin is God. So they're saying all the different parts of our physical body are created by God and are an aspect in a piece of God. But 14, they're saying the reason why 14 is you become a man or a woman when you're 14, according to our body. And when you become a man or a woman, you begin to be able to create your own beings in the flesh. But if you were able to create prior to that, you would be able to create fantasies in your mind, but you wouldn't be able to, in essence, live in those realities here in the real world. It's almost like the kids before 14 aren't really in the real world. They're in fantasy land. But when they hit 14, or probably puberty, right? Now they're saying 14. Okay, 14, that's when they can start to create things. I mean, if kids under 14 could create, they'd have the teachers pinned up against the roof. And can you see the teachers going, oh, like all the kids would be like throwing stuff around the room with their minds. And 14 years is enough to program out of children that they have the ability to float or walk on water or walk through walls or whatever. And especially right now, they're scaring the crap out of kids with germs and, oh, you're going to get sick and don't breathe on each other and all this stuff, which is, good practice to do. Don't breathe all over people. But, Madison being afraid of her brother now that he's going to get a germ on her it's just crazy. So they're creating fear in these kids, and by creating fear in the kids, it's going to delay them from ever even being able to create at all. So 14 is when the Antichrist comes in to swoop in to be like, hey, come this way, because Antichrist wants to create in fear using the power of the kids. The kids aren't creating, they're in fear. And now this being over here is creating with their energy, with their ability to create. That's really interesting. But what they're saying is a lot of like baptisms and things like that. What's that, first communion? Is that when you're 13?
I don't know. I'm not Catholic.
Anyone Catholic? No. They're showing like the baptismal rites and the rituals and all of the attunements and
they do in the Jewish faith. They have what's it called? I think when they turn 13.
Well, it's the church or the morphic field of the church or the religion taking the ability to create from them and keeping it for themselves. So whatever being is in charge of whatever religion, it now has the ability to create its own realities and stuff using, like taking some of the superhero powers away and using it for yourself. And they never even knew they had them because they were taken before they even had them. Don't go out and start unbaptizing your children or making any decisions based on that. Gabriel is like, stop. Everyone will take this as God's word. This is why it's hard to channel live. He's saying that these things can be reversed or attuned above. As soon as you attune into the 5th dimension, religion, dogma, all of that is gone. So the key here is raising your vibration up to the point of non-duality, to the soul, becoming your soul, and then creating any life that you'd like. The people who are dying right now are people who have sent their soul away or given it to a church or given it to a being or given it to an institution or you hear of people selling their souls. They can do that. They can give their soul away. So now their soul's over there. Their hologram is here living, but now that they need to go into their soul, there's no soul to go to. So they're trying to get up into their soul up here, and they're getting stuck in their lungs. They're coughing. They're burning in essence because they have to get up to the water that is their soul that's up here. And many of them have given that away. And it's not they're good or bad. It doesn't make them negative or positive. It just means that they believe that they have to go through someone to get to God. And the key here is teaching people that they can get to God without having to go to a minister or a priest or a holy man or a healer or a spiritual teacher, anyone. They can go themselves, become their soul, And in regards to the ET thing, before we start looks like it's time to start the class soon. We're going to start.
25.
Yeah, we'll start the class and have us start recording over there. But they're saying in regards to the ET thing, look at it this way. You are half human. Okay, so they're saying half. They want to see like, what's terrestrial mean? Terrestrial, is it just a being?
Terrestrial is the earth. Terrestrial.
Okay. They're saying
terrestre in Spanish is land.
Okay, because they're saying that the extra would be like the soul. Terrestrial would be like living like here, and then they're saying that there's a being that comes from elsewhere onto the planet and lives there, and then there's a being that comes from the planet that lives there, and the two coexist within the same human body. So we have the Earth being, and then we have the ET being, because they said we were the ETs.
Well, here's how the chapters go in this book. We commence channeling with Marisa, page 143. First section is called seeding, seeding, and that's going to take in the DNA strands. And then the next section is entitled Creating Humans.
That's cool. You should read the seeding thing.
Yeah, and then it jumps right into introducing Osiris, and then Osiris talks about Osiris on alien beings. And then the questions: are we apes? Are aliens bullies? Why are they here? And then aliens invading human minds, then stealing souls, and then fallen angels, 5D Earth and 3D aliens, and their guardians. So it's very, very interesting stuff. Do you want me to read the seeding?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Or you want to save that for the 1 o'clock one?
Well, let's see. Just start to read. Yeah, just start to read it, and then we'll channel about it 1 o'clock. Because they keep wanting to. I need to grab my tablet and fill in the. Oh, look cool! It's typing out our words.
Oh, it is.
That's really cool. Talk about fast. A fast Siri. Oh, Jeff says Poochie looks very cozy.
Oh, is Jeff watching?
Yeah, Jeff and Mama. Hi, Jeff and Mama. Jeff says nice pictures behind. I know they're super spiritual. the airplane picture.
Yeah.
Because there's a pilot that lives in the house.
Yeah, that's right. He was meant to be a pilot.
Yeah.
All these planes.
Mm-hmm. Matthew is switching from train obsession to plane obsession. Today he wanted to see all about planes. So what they're saying about the ETs, I used to always tell Jeff that he was an ET, and I think that what I meant by that was his consciousness was already like completely like within him. Like we're born with our consciousness within us and has access to all of us. There's some of us that don't need to come to the planet and live right now, that we weren't stuck in an elemental reincarnational cycle, becoming like an angel or a wizard or a warlock or a witch, or, all these like new agey type things. That's people who are stuck in a reincarnational cycle because they fell into this reality and they became an elemental, basically like a fairy or gnome or angel or one of these. I've seen people that are like Shreks. They're like Cyclopses. Those are like underworld beings. So your consciousness that is God lives in that, evolves through time. But right now what's happening is the earth evolves. So there's a bunch of people that are still stuck in their elemental bodies, like those beings within their physical body, and they're being pushed up through their body into their ET self or into earth that is not in the duality. And some people just don't want to move into an earth that isn't dualistic. That's why people are throwing themselves into politics, throwing themselves into all these things that just piss them off and make them so mad, because it instead of fear of, oh my gosh, I'm moving up into this non-dual reality, what am I going to do there? Can I exist there? They just throw themselves down in fear again, or anger, or whatever. So what's happening is people don't really like the feeling of peace. They like having trauma. The people that are ETs are people who were born into this body, never fell into their elemental, or already ascended out of that, and are 5D beings that live on a 5D planet already, and are projecting into this planet from that planet. So the people that are ETs are like on another planet, projecting their consciousness of a virtual reality into this world, and they're here because they want to feel the duality of like love and hate and anger and pain and all that stuff. So they're very much in their physical bodies, but they're into like, they're not super emotional, but they want to feel like the duality of a dualistic world. but they're here to raise everybody up into their quote-unquote ET self so that we can all ascend with the planet and not die like a lot of people have passed away and perished because they didn't plan on moving the planet. Living on it, evolving as much as they could, and then going to another 3D planet again. But they're in heavenly realms, which we're going to chart out at the 1 o'clock class tomorrow. Today, we're going to do more of this stuff. So are you ready to, so the ETs are basically just a state of mind. No, they're in another planet, they just said.
Well, they're saying that the ETs are actually us.
Well, they're saying
there are different layers of ourselves that have figured out a way to come back and keep an eye on ourselves.
It's like the movie Avatar. Like how they project in, yeah. So the ETs they're projecting into a body that was created.
We are here.
Yeah, and so they still have our personality within it, like kind of like how the guy was still him, but he had no legs in the real world. So in the
you gotta watch the movie Avatar. If you haven't watched Avatar, you really need to watch it.
It's really good. He gets into that body and it's like he's like, I'm gonna run. He's running really fast, but the way that this world is different is the body. It'd be like if he wanted to run and like jump off a cliff and fly, and the body was like, nope. Kind of like Poochie when we try and get her to move and she's like sits down, you try and get a big dog to move and they're just like sitting there. It means that the body has its own consciousness. So in that movie, it would be like him trying to do something and the body going, nope, not going to move. I'm not going to move. And that's the little elemental down there, like the great and powerful Oz. Oh my gosh, it's the elemental that's in charge of the body.
What's in charge of the body?
The elemental self, like the fairy self or the gnome self or whatever. They're like the great and powerful Oz down there pulling levers and making the body move and stuff like that. And they're kind of like the free will that stops us. So unless somebody that came in at a higher consciousness level, like I always said, Jeff was from another planet, unless they have something really bad happen to them where they drop down into the lower emotional realms, they won't ever experience life as one of these elemental creatures. They'll just live in the body, kind of like the guy that was in the military lived inside that body. But a lot of us get stuck in that like elemental down at the bottom, and that's the people that are getting sick right now. That's really interesting. So I wonder if at our class I can raise everybody up out of their elemental. Ooh, I can. We'll do like a soul awakening attunement or something. That's really cool. Let me text Rishay and make sure that I think I'm gonna start Zoom. Hold on, this other one real quick.
Did you want me to read?
Yeah, go ahead and read it. I'm not gonna channel anymore here. I'll channel over on the 1 o'clock class. If you guys want to get tickets, you can buy tickets to the Thursday class. It'll be like an hour long what we're doing, and then afterwards we're going to replay last night's meditation where I taught everyone to open their third eye and be intuitive. And I'll meditate with this.
Okay, this is chapter entitled Commence Channeling Session with Marisa. Now, the first part of the book was dealing with the Book of Enoch and also the Sumerian texts on the Anunnaki. And Marisa had asked who is the best one to channel in regards to dealing with ETs and the Anunnakis and the Book of Enoch. And they kept saying Osiris, Osiris, Osiris. So anyway, Osiris, we have a lot of Osiris in here. And here's when we commence that channeling. And it says, as mentioned, this is my write-up. As mentioned, now would be a good time to reintroduce Osiris. But we're going to wait a bit. As we'll learn from the upcoming channel sessions, the legions, quote unquote, of ascended masters, guides, soul members, and other quote unquote people from the other side came into Marisa's and my sessions on this topic. But they were careful as to who was going to present most of the material. Osiris was tagged by Michael as the one who should give voice to the goings-on of the earth at that time. We're also told that Eden is my guide, who is Joe's guide, would speak for herself and channel the... She's told us she's an ET.
I just saw it. She's an ET.
She's an ET.
She projects through the pyramids.
She really?
Yeah, that's where they project their consciousness through the pyramids. The pyramids take their frequency and they send it into the radio that's within the body.
Yeah,
I know that.
It's in here. It's in this. I don't know where in our book here, but Eden says, "Yeah, I'm real. I'm physical. I'm up here at the 5th dimension, but I'm in an ET. I'm an ET."
Wow.
So they can project out of the 5th into the 3rd dimension if they want to. Yeah. Most of them don't want to because most of them don't want to because when they do, they get stuck down here, just like Michael. Yeah. They get stuck in the game. So that's why you never see. Literally, you don't see any alive ETs. I guess our government's found dead ones, but
I think those are a lot of those.
the live ones are afraid they're going to get stuck here.
A lot of those ones are fake, though, that the government has. They just said
They have
just
what?
to. A lot of them are fake by the government just to get people's minds open to ETs. It's almost like a way to advance our consciousness. A lot of them aren't even real that they find that they leak, but it's just so that our minds can open up to that to know where we're going and what we're doing.
We were also told that Eden, who is Joe's guide, would speak for herself and channel the entire group in most occasions. We also became aware that Eden's fifth layer soul from the fourth dimension is able to become like the angels Paul speaks of in the New Testament, in that she has the ability to manifest herself into the third dimension and appear to us humans, much like so many of the Anunnaki did in the past. She also informs us that there are more than just Anunnaki residing on the earth here in the 21st century. Given that, she is closer to the earthly goings-on at the present time, and therefore gives a more human understanding to this complex story of creation and alien visitors. We're trying our best to keep all that is taught to us in some form of chronological order, but we've found that to be difficult. So at times it may feel like we're bouncing around, but in the end, the puzzle pieces will begin to fall into place. Here's seeding, S-E-E-D-I-N-G. Marissa and I are having a conversation. I ask her questions. Marissa then channels the answers from the other side. Marissa is told that the ascended masters are showing themselves to her and that there are a total of 144,000 ascended masters, but that 187 have been assigned to watch over Earth. They're saying that in the beginning there was the quote-unquote garden and the city of quote-unquote Ur. You are.
I count that?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay.
Eden breaks in to say the Indian race was the first to be created. She uses the term seeding to explain how creation began.
Indian meaning Indian or like Native American?
India.
Indian.
Indian. Like John in the book of Revelation and Enoch in his book, when visions are given to those given such permission, such visions are literal. And like with John and Enoch, Marissa is left to describe or interpret the visions she sees. In this regard to seeding, Marissa pictures trumpets and seeds traveling through what appear to be trumpets. The seeds are balls of consciousness that become trees, and from the trees come human beings. Here's how Eden explains Marissa's vision. She says the trumpets are actually DNA strands, and the 12th tree is reserved for the oversouls. And here's Eden. They eat the fruit off the tree. When they blend the DNA strands, they take the DNA and put it through that trumpet, and it goes into the tree. And each tree is in the Garden of Eden. And there are 12 trees. There are 11 trees, and there's a 12th tree in the middle. But that tree is reserved for the oversouls. Now, Marissa is told that the oversouls are grounded into the planet through trees, and trees seem to last forever. She says that trees have everything to do with the Bible, too. She uses the example of when Mary was sitting against a tree birthing Jesus in the Quran. At that moment in the Quran, unlike the Bible, but like the Enoch story of Noah, Jesus speaks at the moment of birth.
Okay, so someone told me that. Or did we channel that?
No, that's just common in the Islamic faith.
Oh, okay. So I probably
From from the Book of Quran. Okay. Mary birthed Jesus while she was leaning up against a tree, and as Jesus came out of the womb, he spoke. Enoch explains Noah was the exact same way. Noah came out with these big blue eyes and spoke right at birth.
Like,
they thought, and Noah's dad thought that he was going to be one of those hybrid giants.
Oh, okay.
So he was really nervous about it.
Oh, I heard something really interesting yesterday. It's a moon of Jupiter is actually called Titan. I just heard it yesterday on like YouTube or something, and I was like, oh, it's totally crooked. They said one of the moons of Jupiter was Titan or something like that. And I was like, whoa, I wonder if that's the Titans that we talked to.
So Marissa continues explaining her vision. She sees that huge beings are breathing life through the trumpets, and that just by blowing a breath into the trumpet, their entire essence goes through it and into a tree. And in that tree is consciousness. And that consciousness bears a fruit. And each one of those fruits is the beginning of a race. They're creating human beings. When they ate of a certain fruit, that would be the type of being that would become like a Chinese person, or an Indian person, or an African person, or a white person. Marissa's shown that at first, all the humans were just like little gummy bears, genderless and mannequin-like.
Without bones.
Without bones.
I was just talking about that.
But then she sees them eat the fruit, and they become whatever concoction the beings created in that tree. Now, Eve enters the conversation and tells Marissa that she is the mother of humanity, and that if we're going to be talking about the Earth's mystery, then she wants to be involved in it. She says she's the Eve that did not eat the fruit. She's the Eve that did not eat the fruit.
It's Mother Earth?
Eve.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay,
Eve
got it. Oh, she's the unfallen Eve.
Is what Eve represents. Was in the Garden of Eden, and they're showing it as an island to Marissa. Appears to be a funnel in the middle of the garden that you drop down into and get spit out into some reality, like a portal of some kind. Now, Marissa describes the scene as an Alice in Wonderland depiction. And here's where Eden continues. Eden. Let me explain this to you. You're seeing a tree, and the tree that you're seeing is a tree because that's what your mind is seeing. But it's actually a chain of consciousness, very much like strands of DNA. There are different orbs and different layers of that consciousness, and that is called a tree of consciousness. So by taking different essences from different beings, different thought patterns, different worlds, different realities, and mixing it into the bottom seed or the bottom orb of tree of life, it thereby creates a different being within it, a different hologram of being. So imagine an avatar being created or programmed like a computer program. And when different DNA strands are put in, we go, oops, nope, that one's got a horse's head and a man's body. That's not going to work out. So there's tinkering. Here is where Eden jumps forward a little bit, but don't be concerned. The creation story continues following Eden's description of aliens. She briefly describes the condition of Earth today. It is worth noting this now, so put the following into the retainer box in your thinking for later, and also think back to Enoch's account and the Anunnaki account of creation. Here's Eden. There are many races and many people that have come through onto this planet that have started in one place, and then they've been transported into other places. As the race or DNA, the race corresponding with the DNA, did not adapt to any certain area or any part of the Earth. This race would then be discontinued and brought into another part of the Earth. The different races of people did not all necessarily come from other planets. The souls may have, but there are many, many beings that have come from other planets that incorporated themselves into the human race. But there are many universes, many star systems that have blended with the human beings to help to raise the conscious level of the DNA that the human beings carry. The strands in which human beings carry are not fully activated in the sense that only a certain amount at this time are being used in the conscious thinking and the growing of the human mind. For the psyche, the intelligence, and other races and in other places, there is much more DNA that is able to be revealed throughout a lifetime, and therefore allowing for longer lifetimes. The Earth is moving in this direction, and there are many beings from outside of this world that are helping. And sometimes it seems, as if there are even more that are trying to destroy this Earth. So this is a battle between light and dark going on around us at all times, whereas human beings are unable to see this. For it is happening in another dimension, but it is affecting this earth. Creating humans. Should I go on with that?
Let's start the Zoom meeting. The guys just wanted to channel something really quick. They were saying that I drew this. Look at. So I wonder if is ear.
You are. I don't know. Could be.
Because I kept hearing ear is the trumpet. Isn't our eardrum kind of shaped kind of like or our ear canal or whatever is kind of like a little trumpet. So it goes into they're calling this the master gland, like in the brain. The little trees are in the brain. And that's how we read all these different beings from outside of us, is that this isn't really, the trees aren't really the brain, but the brain is the part that connects with whatever that is, wherever it is. So that's the master gland. And then I see a diamond underneath the earth, and the little roots coming out of it, and the tree growing. And then I see this little island here. And it's funny because he says, when he started doing the island thing, I was just drawing a circle there to make this an island. And then I heard and then I heard ear. And I was like, But anyways, those are the different trees. And then this was our guides, which is the upper dimensional realms of the underworld. The lower dimensional realms of it are the angels. And then that's us kind of hanging upside down from our diamond down here. And I'm like hanging out down in this world. So it's like we went from living in this reality to coming down here. And it's funny because this totally looks like DNA, or the tree of life. That's the diamond with our consciousness in it, that original seed you talked about.
Well, you know what those DNA strands look like. They're
like little helix things.
Spiraling.
But if you go like this, the little diamond, you could like imagine it twisting and looking like that. So this is the tube of light that comes down here from source, and the source of all creation, they're saying, is like an ultimate sun that's out there that shines light down and nurtures these trees. And as long as they're being nurtured, then we continue to live down here. But if all this was to go away, this would thrive. Why would this thrive if all that was to go away?
Well, probably, and it would be answered in our next section called Creating Humans.
Okay, so it's time to start class. So, okay, guys, if you want to come to the class, then go over to discoverintuition.com, grab a ticket. I think it's $25 or something like that. If you came last night, it's only like $15, I think. I'm not positive. And then this will be posted on intuitionliving.com, which is my Patreon page for like the what's it called, for like probably the $55 COVID special people on it. I'm just still doing the COVID special where you get access to all the audios of stuff for only $55 instead of $100. So that's gonna be good until COVID's over. So anyways, if you want to listen to it later, the rest of it, and you just want to get the $55 thing on there, it's only $30 more. I have access to everything we've ever had. Okay, we're going to turn Zoom on now. So if you want to get a ticket, go on over to discoverintuition.com, grab a ticket, and then we'll see you over on Zoom. Otherwise, I'll start posting as soon as we get the book available so that you guys can buy at least the PDF. You've done the audio though.
Of what?
This book, right? This audio. Yeah, he did the audio for this book last time he was here. So we'll see if Rashay can help me in making sure that happens and we get it posted so that they can buy the audio book.
God, I can't remember which ones I've done.
You did this one, Ask Jesus, and you didn't do the 8 authors because that was too long. You did the revised Ask. He read so many books last time he was here, and they're all on audio. So he was on a mission, and he got complete. Okay, all right. I will see you over on Zoom. Okay, discoverintuition.com. If you want to listen later, intuitionliving.com will take you over to my Patreon page.